Afternoon. Welcome to Thinking is Contagious. I'm going to backtrack and I'm going to tell you that I was wrong on an assessment on Joe Biden's tax plan. Uh, and I stand corrected. I read this morning provision in that plan, and I have to look at the plan, but if it is correct, what I read this morning, and it's from a trusted source, so I'm going to go with it, it's correct. He does address my issue with the loopholes in that his plan supposedly says, regardless, all corporations will have a minimum floor, so a minimum tax that they must pay of 21%, regardless of what write-offs they are able to obtain. So that is a step in the right direction, but it further augments my position or my thoughts and my feelings that the corporate tax rate in his proposal, is way too high. It really goes back to Donald Trump being correct when he tried to get it to 15%. If you're going to have a guaranteed floor at corporate America, no matter what tax write-offs they can avail themselves on, will nonetheless have to pay a 15% income tax as a minimum, then I believe that the corporate tax rate should be 15%. I agree with Biden, however, that there should be regardless of write-offs, a minimum that they have to pay. So I believe that it's a step in the right direction. I also have to backtrack on my thought that corporations were supporting Biden based on there being the loopholes remaining in place. Again, if this is correct, this is a step in the right direction. However, 28% absurd, 21% absurd. If we're going to start, corporations are really going to start paying taxes, 15% is plenty. It makes us very competitive. It makes us the envy. It makes us where the rest of the world will want to locate. And this is what we need to look at. The country with the greatest economy can afford to have the lowest corporate tax rate as long as there is a minimum that you must pay. And it will garner far more revenue than the system that we have in place today with all these loopholes. So having said that, very clearly, I do believe that that is a step in the right direction. Now, let me tell you about something that's this weekend I have experienced, and I've gone through to about 5 different restaurants this weekend. Anything from fast food to very high-end restaurant in the Keys. And I will tell you this: what I'm finding is let's go one by one. An Outback Steakhouse that I took my parents to eat at had to have part of the dining room closed and had a 15 to 20 minute wait in the restaurant, even though there was only 5 tables occupied, because they didn't have the servers or the staff, the busboys, to fully cover a full restaurant to the code now. A Dunkin' Donuts in Miami-Dade County that has to close at 1 p.m. because they don't have workers, they don't have people at the register, and they don't have people in the back room. They don't have people to work. They can't get people to work. Okay? A boutique type family Italian restaurant in Miami. No busboys, waiters and waitresses, family members, and having to double up on their duties. No delivery. They refer it through one of the services, Uber Eats or whatever. They ask you to use them. And no one in the dishwashing, no one in the backroom capacity, the owners are doubling up and taking care of that themselves. Then we go to a good, I would say upper middle class in the Keys restaurant that we frequented for many, many, many years. Spoke to the general manager who runs several restaurants. The people that own this particular restaurant own several restaurants throughout from Fort Pierce south. He says that in all his restaurants, busboys non-existent, dishwashers non-existent, servers very difficult to get, have to pay them way more than what they used to in order to fill shifts, and even then they can't fill shifts properly. The place we ate at, the wait was inordinately long, and the quality of the service was far inferior. And I told him after we paid the check, I told him, not looking for a freebie here, but I want to let you know. And then we got into this conversation. And then finally, a very high-end restaurant in the Keys, very, very high-end. They're not running into the problem with the waiters and the waitresses, the servers, as much at all, actually, because they know that it's a coveted job. It's a very high tip job because it's a very high ticket restaurant. And the servers are professional servers, been at it for many, many years, and they know they need to protect that position because when things ever come back around, and hopefully they do, that's going to be a premium job. So they're not having the trouble there with the servers. However, busboys, backroom, dishwashers, anything that has to do with the maintenance and upkeep, backroom, lower wage earners, they're not showing up. They have no interest in working. And again, the operators, the owners, and the servers are all chipping in to try to cover some of these positions, including dishwashing. You need to get this in front of your legislator. You need to get this in front of your senators, your congressmen. You need to get this in front of your representatives. This economy is being destroyed by the liberal left, who's looking to get as many people as possible dependent on the government to buy their vote. This needs to end, or otherwise it's going to end very badly. Very badly. Wake up, people. I'm telling you, firsthand experience this weekend with many operators. They all tell me the same story. Americans do not want to work. Americans who were making $40,000, $50,000 a year, many, and again, I refrain from using all, but many, especially in the service industry, do not want to work. They will wait it out. They will cash their check. They'll hang out on the beach. This is a problem. This is a problem that will manifest itself soon in our economy, in our markets. And if this is not an absolute clear signal to you, and I invite you to go out and speak to the restaurant owners, speak to the service industry operators out there and ask them if this is not the case. People, if we don't make sure that America gets back to work, if we don't make sure that those people who make more money by not working and receiving government assistance, whether they need it or not, because the key is that there are jobs and there are people willing to hire them, because I spoke to a litany of them this weekend. But the people don't want to take the job because they make more money, as much or close to as much, without having to leave their house. This is a problem. And we need to get this in front of the right people so that people understand. And I need you to understand. This country is being undermined by the very people who say they're out there working for you to get you help and to get you aid through this horrible pandemic, by the very people who refuse to say you don't have to wear a mask anymore, by the very people who refuse to say more than 40% of America is vaccinated and more than 30% of America already has herd immunity. that the pandemic is over, that refuse to tell you that because they will lose control. And those are the people that want more checks and more help and more stimulus to people, the majority of which do not need this money. We need to understand this. Pick up a phone Monday. Call your representative. Call your senators. Call whoever you need to call. And let them know that you will not stand by. Send this around to people. Please. I'm not doing this based on the fact that I want subscribers. I'm doing this based on the fact that I want people to hear what is going on, that we need to save this country. We need to save this economy. We need to save what made this country great. And we are suffering at this point. We are suffering, and we need to take control and have our voices be heard. Okay, thank you for your time, and thank you for your support, and thank you for your loyal following. I will speak to you soon. Have a good rest of the weekend.